We'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners and custodians of the land which we are filming today, the people of the Kulin Nation. We also pay our respects to their elders, past and present. Well, hello everyone and welcome back to Queued Up. Super excited to have Jac Shaw on today to talk about something I don't think we've touched on that much in this podcast, which is all things retail media. Welcome, Jac.
Well, thank you for having me.
I'd love to start this off by learning a bit more about your background. So I'd love for you to give me a bit of an insight into where you've come from now that you're at Qsic.
Yeah, so I am all things audio for my entire career. So my first grown-up job was in media, in radio, so working for Nova Entertainment. And I was really lucky to get in there at a time where they were building out their branded entertainment arm of the business called Create. And I kind of grew with Create and I found myself working in strategy. So most of my career has been in strategy. So I've had a lot of experience leading that team. And then my most recent role that I had there before coming across to Qsic was really in commercial partnerships and also with a focus on retail audio. So it set me up really nicely to come across to Qsic. So now I've come across to Qsic as retail media lead.
And for someone who's not in the space, what does retail media mean? If you could give it a definition.
Yeah, so I think probably the best way to define it is when a retailer uses its own assets to kind of advertise. So whether that be in store where you're using things like audio and creating a radio station in store, or whether or not that be through screens or whether or not that be their website for purchasing online. So how do they leverage that as a media channel to drive increased purchase? So for endemic products, so that being available in store, it's a really good opportunity for if you're advertising to influence at that point of purchase. And then for non-endemic, it's a really good opportunity to hit like an audience that's a decision-making audience, can be contextually relevant, and also a mass audience of people while they're in that shopping mindset.
It's such a new and exciting way to find customers. I think that's something at Qsic that we're discovering is just the appetite for it and when it's done well, how successful it can be. You've spent nearly 2 decades at Nova. If you had to sum up 17 years of audio in just 3 words, what would they be?
Yeah, so I think definitely companion, convincing, and because I love alliteration, connecting.
Very good. I love alliteration too. I'm a big supporter of that. But I think, yeah, it's fascinating to see how it's evolved and become this new beast of its own. I think a lot of people initially didn't quite understand what it was. And I think that's also something you see with brands trying to figure out their identity within the retail media space. But when they get it right, it's so cool to see that expand and see the opportunities that come from it. I guess from my side, like the music opportunities that come from it, but also obviously other brands that can invest in that platform. I think that I'm excited to see where it could go.
Yeah, absolutely. It's massive.
Yeah. And you were definitely a pioneer in the commercialization side of all of this. I'd love to know if you ever imagined that this would evolve into what it's today. Like what did you think when all of this started to happen?
Yeah, so I think I was lucky enough about, like many years ago now, to be put in charge of the commercialization of a retail media asset. And so I really had to find the story around why it's compelling, why people should buy into it. And as I kind of looked into it and you're able to see how it can have influence on every part of the purchase funnel, I really drank my own Kool-Aid and I was like, this is amazing. Yeah. Why aren't people buying into this? So I think like when you're talking about that purchase funnel, like when it's in a retail audio space, we have that ability in audio to storytell. So when you're thinking about, creating awareness or moving that through to consideration, the stories and the education that you can leverage through audio, and then also taking audio and putting the power of that into a retail space and then having influence right at the point of purchase and being able to call out a price point or call out a limited time offer, it's truly like really powerful and unique. And it's, yeah, I think it's one of those things that's like, why aren't more people buying into this? Because it's whatever you want to do, retail audio in particular, because that's my passion point, is influential, and it has mass reach on top of that.
Yeah, and I think that it's I guess it's like anything that's new. Often it takes people to come around to it. I think social media had that at the start. But it really does blow my mind that more people are not getting involved in it, because like in terms of social media, you're spending money advertising on a platform that then might get someone to go into a store to then maybe buy something. But when you're advertising to the people already in the store, you've skipped all those steps.
Yeah.
And they're already there.
And I think as well, that's a bit of a, that's what Qsic's doing. That's like so amazing and so unique. So they're taking a lot of those online digital analytics and being able to put that into the in-store environment. So it's making every advertising dollar more accountable. So I think it's just a process to educate and get more people. And I think once they start to understand what's possible, they invest, they see the results, they'll continue to invest. So we're starting to see with some of our retail media partners that I think last year, one of them in particular, advertisers that spent, 60% of them came back and spent more because they're able to see the results. And that's the type of uplift that you want to see.
Absolutely. Have those proof points and not putting money into something and go, well, I hope that worked.
Yeah, exactly.
Having the tangible data is always really a powerful element of advertising and making sure you get sales through the door. What's the most surprising thing that you realized about how people listen when they have a shopping basket in their hand? Is there something different when they're in store than it would be with, say, traditional commercial radio?
Yeah, so I think probably thinking about this from two elements in terms of that retail space. Probably the most surprising thing that I've learnt lately is that 80 to 90% of all purchases are still made in the physical retail environment. And that, from an Australian standard, is about $440 billion are spent in physical retail environments. And then when you think about that 3 in 10 purchases are impulse purchases, and you kind of look at that, the ability to influence those impulse purchases through retail media in store, like that's crazy. So endemic brands that are available in store absolutely should be spending on retail media, retail audio more specifically, because that opportunity is huge. And then when you think about retail audio, probably the most interesting thing is, one of the main objections that I've kind of heard over the years is, are people really listening, right?
Yeah.
And I think what's interesting about audio in particular is its ability to seep its way into your subconscious and have impact. So the way I always like to think about it is like, you're kind of sitting there some days and you're like, you've got this song stuck in your head and you're like, well, how did this song get stuck in my head? And it's because even though you weren't actively listening, you might have been taking in some audio and then that song is now in your head. And that's the power of retail audio as well. So your subconsciously might also be taking in messaging, planting in your subconscious, and it's also helping to influence purchase decisions.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
pretty amazing stuff.
I think that one of the main purposes of having, just say, in-store music, something that I do is, none of it's supposed to be overtly obvious.
Yeah.
It is that like the back of the mind, making someone feel comfortable, making someone want to stay in the store, making them or feel like they're having an enjoyable experience. And the aim is for them not to walk out and immediately go, oh, that place had the best music. It's, oh, I really enjoyed my experience in store.
Yeah. Well, it's like I like to say, like a good mood is great for business, right? So if you can get that play that playlist that, sparks connection in store, keeps people in longer, going to spend more. It's good for business.
Yeah, it's definitely something that I think some businesses potentially, it can often be seen as an afterthought, brushed to the side. But when you get it right and the power of it, it's so influential in a way that is, it's just happening in the background.
Yeah.
Which can be very powerful.
Absolutely.
Especially when we're in a market where I think people don't necessarily always want to be advertised to.
Mm-hmm.
And they feel like they're overwhelmed by social media and by things that they're seeing everywhere. Finding new ways is very, very exciting. But speaking of music, I think one thing I'd love to talk to you about is some of the music partnerships, activations that you've recently been involved in. One being the Rave Cave. I think a super exciting concept for everyone at Qsic. Can you explain a little bit about what that was?
Yeah, so how the Rave Cave came about was we had been in discussions with Liquorland around potentially looking at their cool room space because it didn't currently have audio fitted out. And we also, at the same time, were discussing, all right, Mardi Gras is coming up. What could we potentially do in the stores around the Mardi Gras location in Sydney, Darlinghurst more specifically? And we were having like a chat with a few people in the office and someone suggested, oh, why don't we have a rave in store? And then it just sparked the thought of, oh, why don't we turn the cool room into a rave cave, right? It's a celebration of all things music is Mardi Gras, but also it gives us the opportunity to try out the cool room space as an audio environment and see how it performs. So served a couple of different needs there. So what we did is we basically created playlists of rave music to play in the week in that cool room, and also created messaging while we were in there to, say, you're in the Rave Cave, pick up such and such drink. We also promoted the Rave Cave in their other Liquorland locations in the CBD in Sydney, and also in that store we said, step into the Rave Cave now in the cool room. So all driving in there. We also enlisted the help of an event stylist. So she'd done raves before. Shout out to Sarah Natras. And she came in and she did all things disco balls and lighting and, drapery. And she even was able to secure some costumes from a community member called James Cotter, who unfortunately he had passed away, but his family really wanted to celebrate him and the costumes that he'd made every year for Mardi Gras. So we had those on display with his story, which really for Liquorland was really a great way to showcase their sponsorship and support of Mardi Gras by celebrating community members as well.
I think it's so important, and I find like when you talk about that part of the partnership as well, it does become emotional.
Yes.
In the sense that there's purpose behind it. And I think partnerships, a large part of it is they can be so impactful when there is that purpose. And I find that so nice that, his story and his work was able to be showcased and celebrated, even when he's no longer with us. Yeah. Especially for something that he obviously loved so much, which was Mardi Gras. And I find that, just really powerful to have a part as a Qsic partnership as well.
Yeah, and I think like retail media aside or retail audio aside for this particular thing, it was just a beautiful way to, celebrate all things Mardi Gras and that community. And it was really quite special, and, we got a lot of visitation across that period, and I think it was a really successful activation.
Yeah, and I think that obviously there's always stats and there's this and that, but I'm sure that it did so much for the staff in store as well.
Yes, well, the store manager on the week of the Mardi Gras, he even did a DJ set in the store. So it's amazing. Everyone's involved.
All the hidden talents of the store members. You never know until there's a rave in the cool room.
Yeah, exactly.
Whether you have a DJ in store. I find that such a good case study of really innovative, immersive in-store experiences, because as you explained, you had different audio advertising that ran throughout the store, just depending on where you stepped into the store, which gives people an idea of the things that are possible. It's not just one ad that you make and you play and that's the campaign. It's how do we immerse people into this experience?
Yeah.
Before asking them to buy something.
Exactly. I think that's so important. It's like, how do we turn like behavior, we'll turn an emotional experience into a behavioral outcome. So, you know, are they spending more time? Are they looking around more? Are they more likely to purchase something else? I think it's a real interesting one. Yeah.
I think we've touched on this a little bit, but I'd love to ask you in more detail, based off an example like this, how should retailers look at their floor plans differently now? Like, how can they commercialize every square meterage?
Yeah, well, I think it's probably twofold, right? So when it comes to retail audio again, they should commercialize every square meter that they've got in store, because it is probably the only medium that actually physically follows you around the store all the way to shelf. So they have ability to do that. But I don't think necessarily that they should be placing other retail media throughout every square meter, because there's a lot of visual competition. So whether it be screens or the shelves or WhatsApp POS, it's more about, I think as a next step, is how they all work together. So what's the role of screens together with audio, together with the POS, and what do they do for the campaign? So think about it like this way. Say, for instance, you had an on-pack promotion to win a holiday to a tropical island, right? You could imagine that the screens would have like beautiful visuals of that tropical island, but you could also create beautiful soundscapes that bring the island life to light, or, you know, music playlists that, you know, call out to different, you know, little bit of island in the sun, for example. And it's like how they start to work together to be more powerful. And I think that's probably the more important thing than creating opportunity at every square meter.
Yeah, that building block on top of each other rather than competing against each other.
Exactly.
Looking at the campaign from that holistic external view of, okay, how can all of these elements help together to drive purchase?
Exactly. And I think it's, you know, those layers as well. And we always we kind of think about, you know, some studies out there that talks to, like, you know, layering audio onto any other advertising asset creates campaign effectiveness, and that is like the power of audio, right? So I think the more we can get brands, any advertiser, to you know, layer in with audio with the other products and help with that storytelling or that direct you know, price point or moment at point of purchase, the better campaigns are going to perform.
Yeah, I can't wait to see there be more case studies and more proof points to show that this is the way forward. Another thing you've also worked on recently, which was very exciting, was the Penfolds Troye Sivan campaign. Would you be able to detail that a little bit?
Yeah, so this was a really exciting one because big Troye fan. So Penfolds did a limited time collaboration with their bin 389 range with Troye Sivan, so for a limited time. So he basically did a collaboration with Penfolds bin 389, and it was a limited edition bottle. He designed the tissue paper in there, and it was co-branded by him. And you know, for that campaign in Liquorland stores in particular, they didn't have access to his voice. So obviously they had access to him to do a lot of their like media across socials and stuff like that. But when it came to audio, we were in the unique position because he's a music artist. We have access to his music. So what we're able to do for the campaign is, for launch day, we did basically a Troye Sivan takeover. So 20% of the music that we played in Liquorland stores was Troye Sivan. We had a high rotation of commercial messaging playing at that time.
Mm-hmm.
We also did 389 sessions. So it was an hour takeover on the highest propensity to buy days and times of just Troye music with the message around the collaboration. And then we spoke about perfect pairings as well. So his biggest collaborated songs. So, for instance, he does a song with Charlie Qsic, and we tagged that song with a commercial message that was contextually relevant. So you think that's a great collaboration? What about the collaboration between Troye and Penfolds? And so it was a really great way to just use music to be able to create something that was relevant. So you think about it in the in-store environment, right? So you've got a little bit of you're creating the emotion through the music, but then you're also creating I suppose you're looking at a bit of the science behind it by targeting the ads to the times when people are going to buy Penfolds. So you're really getting that perfect combination of a Troye lover or a Penfolds lover. It's a match made in heaven.
Why
right?
not both?
Yeah, optimizing your sales all over the place.
It gets me so excited. I just think that including musicians at the end of the day are brands in themselves and have such a unique proposition when it comes to the people that are their fans. And I think when they have collaborations like this, there's so many interesting ways that you can do things with them.
Yeah.
And we, as you said, have that unique opportunity with audio in store to bring out a sense of their music catalog and fun ways to play that and tie it into the campaign. And there's endless opportunities.
Yeah, and it doesn't need to necessarily always be artist specific. So you can look at genre, right?
Absolutely.
So you can look at, Valentine's Day, love songs, that taking it back to what I was saying before, promotions around tropical island songs that focus on, that kind of tropical beat. There's a lot of opportunity with what you can do with music and sound to create emotion and connection.
Yeah, and I think one example that I've had that was really successful that isn't necessarily a retail media partnership, but something to do with that, where there's a Valentine's Day or an event, was we had a client do an International Women's Day playlist, but they surveyed all their staff and all their staff got to choose their favorite empowerment song. And it was just such success because all of the staff were like, that's the song I chose.
Yes.
And feeling that sense of connection to what the marketing team or the head office team are doing within store, I think is also really powerful because you don't want to have that disconnect between the stores and the head office. And I think that stuff like this can really bring them together.
Sure can. Absolutely.
And it just warms my heart when they get really excited about it because that's what you want, is you want the people who are, selling the product in store to be just as passionate about what's going on as the people who are creating the campaigns behind the scenes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I'd love to know, as a strategy lead, what's your dream project for Qsic?
Yeah, so I'm kind of thinking that.
It's a big question.
Yeah, thinking about that from a couple of different angles and hiking it back to what I was saying before around my dream is that we start to get closer to all retail platforms working together. So when we're working with our retailers, how all of them work together. Screens works with audio. That's kind of what I would love. But if I'm thinking about it from what's an ideal type of opportunity, well, I think we're really moving into a new phase of retail media, and that's retail media 3.0. So that's, one was really online, two's now in store, and three really looking at activation and how we can create experiences on site. So a la, Rave Cave, doing more things like that. If I was to think about in an ideal world, what type of thing I would love to do. I mean, if you looked at the Troye Sivan campaign and you looked at the imagery where he was hosting this dinner party with all of his friends
I know
on
where you're
social.
going to go with this.
Like imagine, being invited to Troye's table in the middle of a Liquorland store and doing like a wine tasting, or even, like something like that with like MasterChef. There's a lot of different possibilities that you can do. So how can we kind of start to, bring audio and activation together and sampling? That's also a really exciting next step space, I think.
I love the MasterChef idea.
Yeah.
It gives me like private, like exclusivity, private chef.
Yes.
Come have a cooking class with this chef in store. Don't know about the logistics of that, but I'm sure we would make it work. Now I want to move on to a bit of fun.
Yes.
You've got a paddle beside you.
Oh, yep. Okay.
It's got thumbs up, thumbs down.
Excellent.
I'm going to ask you a few rapid fire yes or no questions, and you can give me thumbs up, thumbs down.
Yeah.
And an explanation if you want.
Okay. All right.
The first one being perfectly color-coded spreadsheets.
Thumbs up.
Yes. Yeah.
Definitely.
I have seen a spreadsheet or two that you've made, and they are very, they're very organized, and it warms my soul.
I mean, you've got to be organized. I think that I was saying actually to someone today, I'm really not a fly by the seat of my pants type of person. So organization is key. So love a colored spreadsheet.
Which leads into the next one, which I put in there, maybe because I know a fact about you, but 3:30 a.m. workouts, which I think is wild. Even I wake up at 5 a.m. and people say that's early.
Well, to give you context, I have a husband that leaves for work at 5 a.m. and two little kids. So I have to get my workouts in before the day starts, before he leaves and the day starts for them. So that's my justification. And I also go to bed very early.
But it also just shows like the routine and the work ethic is there, right? Yeah. Like if you're going to get it done, you're going to get it done. You're going to find a point in the day to get it done, even if it's 3:30 in the morning.
Well, I'm hopeless I'm a morning person. So I'm hopeless in the afternoon. If you try and get me to work out in the afternoon, it won't happen. Yeah. So it's got to happen.
I'm definitely a morning person for the workout. I'm like, I also think about it all day. If I haven't done it, I like to just get it done and then I don't have to think about it.
Yes. I just want to go home.
Gets out of my brain.
Yeah, exactly.
No longer something on my to-do list. It's done.
So true.
And the last one being no music in a retail store.
Oh, that's definitely, that's a thumbs down.
That one, yeah.
Definitely a thumbs down. Like you think about it, like when you go into a store, if you like, you kind of go in and you don't hear anything. It's just like there's no vibe.
It's so noticeable. And you go, oh, I can hear like all the conversations happening and like.
Yeah.
I often find that if I'm with someone going from the store and there's no music playing, that I feel awkward like talking to them about discussing what I want to buy or.
Exactly.
Like just say I'm in a makeup store. I'm like, I want to try this thing and this thing, but it's dead quiet in there.
Yeah. It's a real vibe killer for sure.
So awkward. And then finally, something that we like to do with all our guests is ask them the same 3 questions at the end of the episode to learn a little bit more about you. The first question being the first concert you ever went to.
Oh, I think I had to have really thinking hard about this. It's been a long time. I actually think the first concert I went to was Big Day Out.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's
when
a good one.
I was in high school. It was very eye-opening. I just remember probably the biggest moment of it was when Rammstein came on.
Yeah.
And they had that song Du Hast out. And for someone who'd never been for a concert and you just hear the intro to that song, and I was just like,
yeah, I
where
feel like
am I?
It's a big transition to go from no concert to Big Day Out.
Yes. Yeah. And also like, I can't believe that was like, you could go to that underage. That was crazy.
I know. I talk about this all the time in terms of like young people having access to gigs.
Yes.
It's so restricted. And I think obviously there's reasons behind it, but you did used to be able to go to music and experience music before you were 18. And now there's a lot of barriers to that,
exactly.
which is sad. But I think there's always things that you can go do.
Well, before that, I had a lot of experience at musical theatre, so I don't know if that counts.
It does count.
Oh, it does?
Yeah, okay.
Oh, well, I probably Jesus Christ Superstar was the first thing I'd ever seen with maybe my parents in primary school. Yeah.
Jesus
Did
Christ.
a lot of musical theatre with my parents.
Yeah, Jesus Christ Superstar is a special place in my heart. I did play Mary Magdalene in high school.
Did you?
Sure did.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I never had that claim to fame. I did do a few plays in high school, but I played in The Wizard of Oz, the field mouse.
I mean, at least you weren't tree number 3.
I had one line.
Oh, man. And I'd love to know an album that's changed your life.
Oh, so this one's easy. Jebediah, Slightly Odd Way, is probably my favourite album of all time. So I would listen to that on repeat when I was a teenager, and it just spoke to me. Anything Jebediah, actually. I was like a lot of their songs. That was a soundtrack to like my breakups, my love, my high school,
Pivotal memories.
Leaving home, Harpoon in my heart, all of that. It's I think I've been to nearly every Jebediah concert that I've had in Melbourne.
That's impressive.
Yeah. So the big part of my life growing up. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. And the last question for today, a song you have on repeat at the moment.
Oh, good question. I actually have House Tour by Sabrina Carpenter.
It's a good song.
On. Yeah. So the video clip came out, maybe like a week or so ago?
Yeah.
And I saw that. No, I actually had the album, but I hadn't been listening to that song.
Yeah.
And I think just seeing the video clip, I was like, oh, so I've added that to my running playlist. So that's in pretty high rotation together with Dracula.
With Tame Impala.
Yeah.
The one with
Jenny.
Jenny. Yeah.
They're my twoest high rotations at the moment. Yeah. I'm actually obviously pretty influenced by TikTok. By
So I have to say, they do sound like the TikTok trends that are going on at the moment.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No.
Influence of culture. That's good. But thank you so much for joining us today. And it's been great to learn more about what you've been doing and how music and all of those things can play a role in it. But yeah, is there anywhere people can find you? Anything you want people to look up?
Oh, well, I think I just want people, like any marketers out there, to invest in retail audio and see what it can do for your brands, whether you're available in store or not. It's really well priced. You should try it. That's probably my number one takeaway and it works. And with Qsic, we can tell you if it works.
Amazing. I think that's a great way to end this episode. Thank you so much for coming on.
Awesome. Excellent. Thank you for having me.